Good afternoon to you viewers, it's the Colonel speaking to you live from the Grange for British Imperial YouTube Broadcasting. And today we've got another one of the National Savings Movement records, Beaufighter versus Messerschmits, described by Pilot Officer Richard Sherwood. Here we go. I've got to start this slightly further in because there's a slight chunk out of this record.
With the juries, and I use the word encounter purposely because it certainly wasn't a combat in the usual sense. Although one of the Messerschmitts crashed into the sea, it wasn't a bullet or a cannon shell that brought him down. What happened was, he was so intent on fixing me, he didn't see where I was leading him, and he went into the drink while he was still trying to keep the Beaufighter in his sights. All this happened over the North Sea. We were out to do a patrol off the enemy coast. It was a lovely evening, and the sun was low in the sky and shining brightly. Too brightly for us. We found it difficult to see anything much in that direction, and that, of course, was just where the three Messerschmitts were hiding. They jumped out on us out of the sun, and before we knew much about it, they were right on our tail. As it happened, it was my business to get away from them. It took me 20 minutes. 20 minutes of twisting and turning and diving and climbing. The Jerries were trying to get me in their sights, and I was trying all the time to keep out. Meanwhile, I was edging my way westwards across the North Sea, drawing the Messerschmitts further and further from their bases. Time and again, the Germans must have thought they had us, because they loosed off with their guns. But we got away with only 3 bullet holes in the Beaufighter. We might have suffered a great deal more damage but for my observer. Throughout the whole encounter, he never took his eyes off those Jerries. He very coolly gave me the gem, telling me which way to avoid being hit. At last, as I'd calculated, the enemy machines were faced with petrol shortage. They were getting too far from home for safety and had to go back. But only 2 of the 3 were left. One of them never got back. At one point during the action, while I was trying to shake off the attackers, I'd gone right down to sea level. At that moment, I saw the jerry cannon shells kicking up small spouts of water all around me. I knew I was in a tough spot, so I opened up the engines and climbed about 300 feet, zigzagging and weaving all over the place. I put everything I knew into my flying. Still the Hun went on firing, and uncomfortably close too, so I sidestepped down to sea level again. Just as I was pulling out, Dickie, he's my observer, shouted to me over the intercom, "One's gone in the drink." And that was just what happened. The Messerschmitt had followed us down, and he'd concentrated so much in getting us in line, he'd forgotten to recover from his diving time. He crashed right into the sea. So although I hadn't fired a single shot throughout the action, I was able to come back and report 1 enemy fighter destroyed.
Wings for victory!
There we go viewers, that's another one. Thank you and goodbye.